Hello, Josh with Fairly Booked. So today we're going to show you how to set up your first event. So you go to fairlybook.com, click on login. Here is the login page. On the left hand side, your vendors can log in. On the right hand side is your login. We type in our username. Now you can bookmark this page directly. This is a page will have a short code for your event. We're right now logging into the Pretend County Fair. So it'll be a short code .fairlybook.com to log in here as a admin. Once we're logged in here, we want to do some stuff to get our event set up. So first, we're going to go down to events and create a new event. Now, every year, your event is going to have a new name. We can copy your old event into a new one. So typically, we want to put something like the year in your event title. And it helps if I can spell up there. You put in your event type. Select your event dates. It will make you put in a time. Typically, you can use something like your opening time on the first day. So we're going to go June 22nd at 8 a.m. And we will have it end on June 30th at 10 p.m. The date is not real, or the time is not really used anywhere, but you want your event start date and end date. Now, this is only going to come up as a draft initially until we buy and apply a license. Typically, you're going to want your event to be public. It will not go public to everyone until you have your license active. You can do licensing here right now, but we can also come back later to do it since we don't have any licenses purchased yet. So we can create this event. Here we can jump through to do a bunch of different things. From here, we can review all that information we just did, as well as get some stats on it. We can also go over here and work our way down through the booth setup section. So first, we're going to do booth categories. Now, booth categories are just a way to help filter booths by the types of products they carry. You can have one, you can have a few, or you could get fairly detailed. So first of all, we are on the Pretend County Fair 2026, and we're going to do crafts as one. We can stay right on this page, create and create another. The other thing, so that we don't have to keep clicking on the event, is up here on the top right, we can select the event we want to work on, and that will pre-fill this. So we have crafts. I'm going to do food and drink. Informational only. There we go. Spelling is not my strong suit. And let's give it one more. I was going to say nonprofit, but we already really have that. Let's do... actually, that's good. We got 3. So we've got, for our fair this year, crafts, food and drink, and informational only. Having this event selected up here also filters, so we only see these 3 if we were to have other events going on or in the past year. Without that filter, you would see a bunch more. You can also search and filter through here as well. Now, booth types. So, again, booth types, we can have as many as we want. This is where our pricing comes in. And actually, before we set up booth types, we're going to jump ahead to price categories because you do need your price categories to set up your booth types. So price categories, uh, you can either set up one or a bunch. Typically, though, every price category you set up, you're going to have to make booth types for. Uh, some events, like if you are charging more for your food vendors versus your non-food vendors, this is where the price category really comes in handy. That's how I'm going to set up this example. So we're going to have non-food, and then we are going to have food and drink or concessions. If we come back out here, we can see we now have non-food and food and drink. And if we come back into our booth types and go new booth, so these booth types are going to be every space we have around the grounds. So each type should be a different zone and price point. So, for example, we might have Midway, non-food. We can give it description, we can give it zone if we want to. Those are just informational search and sorting purposes for us. Category, we said non-food. And then we've got 4 different ways that we can price our booths. So we can have a fixed price where we just say this booth is $500 per booth. We could say up here they are a 10 by 10 booth in the description or even in the name. And there's more of my misspellings. Midway. There we go. We can do it by the front foot. So we could say up here that these are 30 feet deep. And by the front foot, we are charging $10 per front foot. So if it was a 10-foot wide space at $10 a front foot, they're going to get charged $100. We can do it by square foot. Same idea, but rather than having that front foot, we are going to have, every square foot as, it probably wouldn't be that expensive on a square foot, but every square foot getting charged. Or we can do base plus additional footage. So we can say our base price is $500 for our first 10 feet, and then every foot after is going to add $32. We can add some features down here. If you want to put stuff like maybe this one includes 110 volt outlet included. Or anything like that, water, power, gray water tanks, or any other features you wish to list there. So we're going to create another. We then can do Midway again. This one's going to be food and drinks. Again, we could put our depth. You could put notes. Something like no vehicle access after Monday, or whatever else you want them to know about the space. Category, this one we're doing food and drink. And maybe I'll do the same as the other. Well, we're going to stick with base plus front. So our food and drink guys are going to pay $750 for their first 10 feet. And then they're going to pay $100. Well, let's make it $50 a foot afterwards. We could add features again if we want. We can go and move on to our next one, create and save. Maybe this one is exhibit hall. Man. And we don't allow any food in the exhibit halls, but we're still going to put it in the name there. And our spacing is going to be 12 by 12. We're going to set this one up as a non-food fixed price, $150 per 12 by 12 booth in the exhibit hall. So we go through and do this for each different price category and area of our fairgrounds. Um, Mainly, you got to separate it by what's each price point. So if you have different price points for different areas of your fairground, you're going to have more listings. If you are one price for your whole fairgrounds, you might only have one here. Um, or maybe your indoor event where you are just in a building, maybe everything is just 12 by 12 booths or 10 by 10 booths. You might just have all fixed pricing. So this is very flexible to be more complex or less complex depending on what the needs are for your event. The last thing we are going to set up for pricing is invoice items. So in invoice items, we can set up all sorts of different things. Um, Typically, we're not going to use the booth one. That should be done through those booth types pricing that we just did. But we can add camping, power, if we charge for water, if you sell insurance, if you require permits that you charge for, if you charge for gray water pumping or sewer pumping, parking, um, anything you charge for, you can pick a category here. And we are going to be expanding this list a little bit as well as we find some of the missing things as we get going here. And if you have a request, please let us know. We'll gladly add it. But let's start with power because that's a pretty common thing to have. And we're going to say, let's do a few different powers. So we'll do 30 amp. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's do 110 volt, 30 amp power. And these vendors are going to get charged $200 for this. Again, we can add properties details about it down here if you want to also list out these amperages voltage in the property value fields. So volt, 110 volt. And we can go create another. We can also do maybe 220, 100 amp. $300. We're gonna skip over the properties. We could have camping. We could have 30 amp camper under 32 feet. So you can describe these however you want, whether you need to know sizing, 50 amp. Try to be uniform. I don't remember how I just named that one. Try to be uniform in your naming. It will look much cleaner. So 30 amp camper under 32 feet, 32 camper. And we'll say 50 will go under 40 feet. Got to select camping and how much you're charging. The invoice items are going to be a one time charge per event per booth that you add it to. Next, before we can launch this, we will make our agreements and documents and pay for our licensing. I think I'm going to go a little more in depth in agreements and documents, so I'm going to make that a separate video. For licensing, if you had licenses bought, they would show there. So we can go buy license. The licenses may vary. These are all just test ones on this display right now. Let's say we're going to buy this 50 vendor license, which is good for one event and must take place in the next 12 months. You can purchase. And if you're going to be doing it by credit card, it'll take you to pay. If you are doing check or invoice or anything, we will handle that separately. So we can put in your name. card information. No, you did not just get my card info. We are in a test environment. And now you can see we have, we're in my licenses now. We have one license here. And we can apply that to the event. So if we come in to edit this event and go to the license section, now we have one base license there that we can apply to. We're missing, oh, our event type didn't save earlier. All right, so that's how you set up an event. I will show you some more on the creating agreements and documents before we go into how to set up the vendors.